So there are a lot of expectations given the fact that we have the new government, which seems to be more business friendly. And we have a very good team at the Ministry of Finance, so I'm very optimistic about the budget for the VC and PE industry. I definitely want to see more taxation reforms, particularly on the capital gains tax for early stage investing and for unlisted entities. I strongly believe if the taxation can be reformed, as in if it can be brought to zero ideally, on capital gains in unlisted equities, it will help a lot of capital, both institutional and individual capital, come to this space. Because right now public equity has a preference because of liquidity, and you don't get taxed on long-term capital gains tax. But I think there has to be a parity between private equity and public equity. So any reforms in the direction of either making it zero or negligible would definitely attract a lot of capital to this sector. So that's one. Secondly, since the asset class is very liquid, I would expect government to come up with a policy where the taxation as well as regulatory environment is assured over a longer period of time, because this asset class is long-term in nature. So investors don't want to see any surprises. So ideally, I would like to see a budget which has a 5 to 7 year horizon in terms of policy consistency, etc. So yeah, these are the primary expectations. I think it's going to be a very important budget for all of us, and I think the whole VC and PE industry is made a lot of representations already to the Ministry of Finance, and we hope that we get some good announcements in this budget now, particularly with the crude going down and other positive macro developments. I believe that fiscal deficit will be in range. Of course, how you bring it down to 3% or something like that is a big challenge, and we need to see some very concrete steps this time from Mr. Jaitley in terms of what's the target over a 5-year term, and how it can be brought down in successive budget. You know, Prime Minister keep talking about making India more business friendly for foreign investor. I would say make it business friendly for the domestic investors, and MSMEs in particular, you know, are in a challenging space, irrespective of which sector they belong to or which city they work, have their operations in. I think MSME has to be the focus, particularly from 2 points of view. One is availability of enough credit. I think that's one big challenge most MSME face. There's very, you know, all banks require collaterals, and as MSME grow, and typically the pace of growth is very high as compared to large caps, they run out of capital. And in our industry, which is food and agri, we have seen a lot of companies struggling for working capital. So I think some focus on ensuring credit is key. Cost of credit, of course, is key, which I hope RBI would take care of that. Secondly, also in terms of creating the right ecosystem, you know, having the right platforms for mentoring, for business developments, for incentivizing B2B platforms for where MSMEs can come together and learn from each other and do business. I think that's also critical. So I sincerely hope that MSME you know, are given due importance which they deserve in this budget, and I think there's a lot the government can do in terms of bringing up a policy document which is more long-term in nature for the MSME sector. So yeah, I think I'm hopeful that there'll be something towards building a early stage investing ecosystem. I'm not sure what exactly government can do, but I think one thing which I strongly believe is the government should incentivize all educational institutions, whether engineering, whether management, which is, you know, very conventional, but also some medical institutions, some institutions which are in other streams like architecture, even arts, science and commerce. They need to have some sort of incubation centers, or at that level. Only IIMs and IITs won't do for this country. Like we have ITIs for for skill development for people who pass out of school, etc. Similarly, I think incubation is required at a much more deeper level. We can't restrict it to few 50 or few hundred institutes only. So I think there has to be some incentives where government and the government does have some entrepreneur developmental institution, etc. But that is really that there's no vibrancy in that. It has become a conventional government institutions. So you need to bring some vibrancy. You need to build the network in terms of connecting with the angels, with early stage, Series A, Series B. You need to connect with the diligence guys. You need to connect with the business development guys. So, and a lot of private institutions are taking lead and doing it on their own. But I think government can play a role in incentivizing or doing some, some grants or some soft loans for such centers, so that there are 1,000 or 2,000 incubation centers in the country, and we'll see more entrepreneurs coming out of them.